Imagine you're in a crowded room. People are talking, laughing, and generally making a lot of noise. But amidst all the chatter, you can pick out a specific voice. Maybe it's deep and booming, or perhaps it's high and clear. We all know that people's voices differ. But have you ever wondered why men and women's voices tend to sound so different? Is it something in the air? Maybe it's the weather. Nope, it all comes down to some very scientific, anatomical, and hormonal differences that shape the way we sound. Let's break it down. The fundamentals of sound, what's Hertz got to do with it? Before we get into the anatomy of voice, we need to understand sound. All sound comes from vibrations, things moving back and forth quickly. These vibrations create sound waves, which travel through the air or other substances. The frequency of those waves, which refers to how often the waves occur in a second, is measured in hertz. For example, a sound that vibrates 100 times per second creates a tone that's at 100 hertz. Now, a low-pitched sound like a drum beat might be somewhere around 40 to 100 hertz, while the sound of a high-pitched bird chirping might hover around 4,000 hertz or higher. The more vibrations per second, the higher the pitch. So what does this have to do with our voices? Well, the frequency of your voice, or the pitch of your voice, is determined by how fast your vocal cords vibrate. And the average frequencies of adult men and women's voices are different. Men versus women, the gender hertz gap. On average, men's voices have a lower fundamental frequency than women's. Now, before you get any funny ideas, let's clarify. This isn't a matter of personality or skill. This difference is purely physical. In fact, everyone's voice is as unique as their fingerprint. So there's no one-size-fits-all rule about how men and women should sound. But on average, the numbers do point to some distinct patterns. For adults, men tend to have a fundamental frequency of around 125 hertz, while women's voices average around 200 hertz. The result? Men typically sound deeper, and women's voices sound higher pitched. But where did these numbers come from? The larynx and vocal folds, the vocal engine room. Let's dive into your anatomy. At the top of your trachea, that's the tube that connects your mouth to your lungs, there is a small organ called the larynx, commonly known as the voice box. Inside your larynx are your vocal folds, sometimes called vocal cords. These folds are responsible for producing sound when air from your lungs passes through them. The pitch of your voice is directly related to the size and shape of your vocal folds. Smaller, tighter vocal folds vibrate more quickly, producing a higher pitch, while longer, thicker vocal folds vibrate more slowly, producing a lower pitch. It's kind of like a guitar string. A shorter string vibrates faster, creating a higher pitched note, while a longer string vibrates slower, producing a deeper sound. That's exactly what happens when air moves through your vocal folds. During puberty, everyone's vocal folds grow, but boys and girls experience this change differently. Testosterone, the male hormone that kicks in during puberty, causes boys' vocal folds to grow longer and thicker than girls. This leads to lower pitched voices. It's also why most men end up with an average vocal fold length of around 16 millimeters, while women typically have vocal folds that measure around 10 millimeters. Why is this important? Well, let's put it in musical terms. Think of men as being a cool, laid-back guitarist who plays those heavy metal open chords. Women, on the other hand, are like the shredders, pulling off high-pitched solos that could give Van Halen a run for his money. It's all about the length of those vocal folds. Men's being longer and thicker, and thus vibrating more slowly, creating a lower pitch. Why the male voice drops more than the female voice? You might wonder, why do men experience such a dramatic drop in their voices during puberty compared to women? Well, it all boils down to the levels of testosterone. While girls' voices drop too, the effect is not as extreme as in boys, since girls don't get that testosterone boost that boys do. As a result, men often end up with voices that sound far deeper than women's, thanks to those long and thick vocal folds. Meanwhile, women, despite going through some vocal fold growth of their own, tend to have voices that remain on the higher side, not due to biology, but because their vocal folds are typically shorter and thinner. Can you change your voice? Yes, but don't overdo it. Here's something fun. Have you ever heard the old party trick of inhaling helium from a balloon? This increases the pitch of your voice because helium is less dense than air. When you breathe in helium, the gas moves faster through your vocal folds, causing them to vibrate quicker, which raises the pitch of your voice. But what if you want to lower your voice? Well, you could inhale a gas that's denser than air, like sulfur hexafluoride. Yes, it's a thing. Or xenon. This makes the air slower and denser, which makes your voice sound deeper and heavier. It's like turning your voice into a deep voice monster from a medieval movie. But hold your horses, don't try this at home. Inhaling anything other than air can be dangerous for your lungs, so stick to using helium at your next party and avoid playing mad scientist with your breathing. Voices aren't just about sound, they're about identity. While biology plays a huge role in shaping the pitch of our voices, there's one thing to remember. Your voice is as unique as you are. It's influenced by genetics, hormones, and even the shape of your face, head, and lungs. Whether you're a man with a low baritone or a woman with a clear soprano, your voice reflects who you are, your identity, your personality, and your life experiences. So the next time you speak, sing, or shout, remember it's not just about the sound. It's about the science, the culture, and the history that make your voice uniquely yours. And who knows, maybe you'll end up sounding like a rock star, whether you're shredding high notes or belting out some deep low notes. A little extra fun, voice changes over time. Just like other parts of your body, your voice can change as you age. Ever notice that older adults tend to sound more nasal or raspy? That's because as you age, the muscles in your voice box and vocal folds lose strength, and your larynx and throat naturally change shape. So if you're planning on giving that Van Halen solo a try in your 60s, be prepared for some serious vocal warm-ups. So is your voice a gift or a curse? Here's the fun part. While your voice's pitch is mainly decided by biology, you still have the ability to change it. Through voice training, you can adjust the pitch of your voice, whether it's for singing, acting, or just to impress your friends with your helium-induced high-pitched squeal. But no matter how much you try to change your voice, remember, it's still your unique signature. Whether you're talking, singing, or making funny sounds for a joke, your voice is an irreplaceable part of your identity. And if nothing else, at least now you know exactly what's going on behind the scenes when you take that helium-filled balloon and sound like a chipmunk on a sugar high. So go ahead, embrace your voice, whether it's deep, high, or somewhere in between. It's all science, baby. And there you have it. The science behind why men and women sound so different. Pretty wild, right? Next time you're talking or singing, just remember, it's all about your vocal folds, hormones, and a little bit of science magic. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of voice, don't forget to hit that like and make sure to subscribe. Keep talking, keep laughing, and keep being awesome.